Hey everyone, today's video is going to be about staying motivated throughout the year and different little things that you can do in order to not give in to being frustrated with school all the time and being like, when is this year going to finally be over? So I'm here again with my friend Devin. She was in our video about roommates, and so she is going to kind of give us some tips on what she would recommend to keep yourself motivated throughout the year. What is something that you did last year in order to stay motivated?
I kept one notebook for all of my classes, and it was a 5-subject notebook, and at the beginning of the year, I flipped through halfway and then a quarter of the way, just on random different pages, and I would just write quotes or something just a little phrase that maybe my mom used to tell me, or just something that would I would look at and be like, oh wow, that gives me a little bit of inspiration, or just cheers me up a little bit. And then I would close it up and just use my notebook from the front to the back, and I would get to these pages just on a random day in class, and all of a sudden it just cheered me up, or it kept me going through the rest of the day. And you get to those classes where you're just man, I don't want to take any notes. This teacher is so boring. I can't listen to her anymore. So it just really helped a lot. The other thing I did was I had post-it notes, and every once in a while, if I was just in a slump one week, I would write a whole bunch of them out, and I would just post them on places where I knew I was going to be either later that day, later that week. So I put them on the dashboard of my car, in the shower, just all over the place. And it really just you kind of forget about them, and then you see them, and it just makes you feel just a little bit better. And the other thing that I did was, if I was feeling down, talk to your advisor, talk to your RA, call your mom. Everyone makes fun of people who call their mom all the time, but
they do it too.
They do it too, exactly. So call your mom, or talk to your roommate, or keep a journal, and just man, I'm so frustrated right now, and just write everything down. And honestly, it makes a huge difference. I kept just a little small journal next to my bed, and at night, if I was just feeling man, today really sucked, or I'm really stressed out about tomorrow, I would just open it up, write everything down that was bothering me, and just shut it inside my drawer, and that way it was in my drawer and not in my head, so it wasn't bothering me anymore. Which sounds stupid and really childish, and it wouldn't work, but it actually made a huge difference.
Yeah, and something that I like to do was always, every week I made to-do lists, because there's nothing more satisfying than be able to physically cross it off.
Exactly.
And I know a lot of people like to keep their to-do list on their computer and things like that. If you put it down on paper, you get the satisfaction of just crossing that out, and that is you just feel accomplished, and you're getting things done.
You do. And once you're to the end of the week and you've crossed off almost everything on your to-do list, you feel you've really done something for yourself.
Yeah.
And you've gotten through the week.
Yeah, and making sure you stay organized, even though this doesn't really sound like it's about staying motivated, but if you're organized and you have written down all your assignments, you will be so much more efficient with your schoolwork that you won't even notice how much work you have, because you're slowly looking at everything you need to do, and in your head you know exactly when it needs to be done, whereas you're not waiting till Sunday, and all of a sudden you're shoot, I need to figure out what homework I have, and then all of a sudden you just feel this is too much, I don't know how I can do all this. So you can really avoid that by keeping a planner, taking it to class instead of relying on the internet where your teacher posts the assignments.
Right.
So it makes a huge difference.
The other thing I would say is setting a GPA goal.
Yes.
Was huge for me, and it sounds more of just a way to keep your grades up, but it was also a way to stay motivated. I set a goal the first semester, and I told myself I needed a 3.0, and sure enough, I got well over a 3.0, just because every time I sat down at my desk and was man, I really don't want to study, I reminded myself, I have this goal, and write the goal down, because it always, it shows that it really makes a difference if you write it down. And I just reminded myself, I want this 3.0, and I got it. And then the second semester, I failed to set the goal, and sure enough, my GPA dropped. So just set a goal and make sure you get it. And it doesn't have to be to anyone else's standards but your own.
No, just, you really cannot set your goals depending on someone else's.
Other people, right.
Because especially one thing's in high school where, like, everyone's basically at the same level.
Yeah.
And so we went to a high school where it was very competitive with grades. And so what we were used to was the second that we got our test back, everyone looking at everyone else's test. Like, that was literally the first thing that you would do. In college, it's not like that at all, because it comes from so many different academic backgrounds that you really just have to focus on yourself.
Yeah, it really brings you down and basically unmotivates you when you compare yourself to other people. So as long as you have your own standards and you've decided that this is what you're going to do, then as long as you live up to it, then you're satisfying yourself, and that's the most important thing.
And that's something that we, like, and I speak for everyone from my high school, which is something that we didn't learn until we went to college, because literally we went to a really small high school where there were about 50 students per class, so we all knew each other well enough where we felt like it was okay to ask each other's GPA and things like that. And it could be really stressful. Like, if your best friend got a significantly better grade than you, all of a sudden, it was the end of the world, and it was like, I'm not going to get into college.
Exactly.
It puts on so much pressure that it's really something that you cannot afford to have in college, because there are already so many other pressures of, like, being on your own for the first time, trying to find out what you want to do with your life, which a lot of people don't even find out till, like, after college. So
yeah,
it's really good to just focus on yourself when it comes to grades.
Another thing that I thought of to keep yourself motivated is choose a friend that is really reliable and motivate each other. And I had a good friend, and we would just go to each other's room or find each other's notebooks when they were left out in the lounge or whatever, and we would just write a note to each other really fast, like, hey, you're doing a great job, like, keep working hard, like, only 2 weeks left until midterms or whatever. And, like, being motivated by someone other than yourself and notes written by yourself really makes a difference, just because it's a perspective from somebody else.